the wreckage of the cars, the bridge, what was still down there, just see if they missed anything.
We are actually on the spot where the Silver Bridge was. Is this pretty much where it spanned? It seems kind of close. Yes. What I remember in the pictures.
Yes, this is the exact place where it was.
First problem came up the second I jumped in the water. I had my mask on, and I looked in the water, and I could see that it was very murky. About 5 minutes later, I found myself 25 feet down on the bottom of this river, not able to see my own hand in front of my face. I mean, it was a little bit scary.
There really are still cars down there. It's kind of dangerous to go down there and not see. You can't see your hand in front of your face.
There was no chance to find anything down in that river.
If they miss something, I can't really blame them for missing it.
Yeah.
We wanted to get our hands onto some of the evidence from the Silver Bridge collapse.
Got it.
Since it is so closely associated with Mothman. And I think Rob was disappointed that he wasn't able to pull through on it.
Good job. The way I see it, if you want to look into the Mothman mystery, you're not going to find physical evidence. It's just highly unlikely. What you've got are people. You have witnesses.
To me, the most intriguing paranormal witnesses are the ones who never tell their story for fear of being ridiculed. So when Carolyn Harris decided that she and her family would talk to us on the last day of our investigation for the very first time about their experiences, we jumped at the chance. Mothman stuff back there.
Come on back and we'll visit a little while.
Carolyn's sister actually saw Mothman, or saw what she thought was clearly Mothman.
They were up there, I guess, having a party, and it came out and flew over top of them. And she always thought it was great big and really tall. She didn't know how tall it was because it was flying. And it had big, red, bloody-looking eyes. Not glary like an animal, but big, red, bloody-looking eyes.
Wasn't she going to be meeting with us today?
Yeah, she was, but couldn't be here.
Oh, can we ask you why?
Yeah, her husband would rather she didn't get on tape and say that because he doesn't believe it. He wasn't with her when it happened.
Are we right in assuming you believe your sister?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
Carolyn's brother Ed also had an encounter with a UFO. About 2:30 in the morning, his wife woke him up and said, Ed, you've got to see this outside.
Sure enough, it was a big bright light, and we looked at each other and no idea what it was. We kept talking about it. I said, people never believe what we're seeing right now.
Described a huge, extremely bright circular object that made it seem almost like daylight around his house. And then instantly in a vanish, it was gone.
So that day on the news, they had spottings of UFOs up in Kanawha County, about 2 counties away. I looked at her and I said, that must have been the same thing we seen, what they also seen up there.
Carolyn had seen, she said, one of the men in black, and described him pretty comparably to some of the other witnesses we spoke to, as the kind of person who didn't seem quite right.
I've seen them in town, and I know a few different places that they were. But I didn't realize until I was talking to some people later that whenever they went to shake hands, they went like, "What are you doing?" You know, and they didn't bat their eyes.
Do you think they were aliens?
Very possible. We had a lot of UFOs at that time.
What about a lot of people that say that the Mothman was flying over the Silver Bridge before it fell down?
We never heard that until another camera crew was in here, and they were coming back to do a movie. They said, because Mothman lit on the bridge to warn people. But all the time we were young, growing up, we never heard that, did we?
Have you heard that story from anyone in town since that time?
Well, now a lot of people say that because they heard that.
Rumors get started that way, where you hear a piece of information and forgetting where it came from, you might repeat it, and then all of a sudden it becomes part of their story.
It's almost like how legends start.
Right.
I mean, that's what I was talking about, the snowball effect.
We obviously came from a different part of the country to check this out. Does it really promote the economy around here?
I can show you my tourist register in. I probably had them from every state in the union and several overseas.
So there is a significant part of the economy in Point Pleasant that depends on Mothman.
Sure has been good for us, I'll tell you that.
The people here are convinced that strange happenings go on, and I think that it's very possible that strange occurrences such as UFOs, maybe something that looks like the Mothman that's been described to us so many times, maybe it's possible that it did happen.
As far as something bizarre making the legend real?
When we return, after talking to witnesses and examining the evidence, the team makes some startling conclusions.
Paranormal stuff happens here. We wrapped up our Mothman investigation with a lot to think about, but little to show for our time in Point Pleasant. We didn't see the big red eyes in the woods out in the TNT area. We didn't come across any physical evidence in the Ohio River where the Silver Bridge collapsed. We couldn't find one person with as much as a feather, a footprint, even a fuzzy photograph of any paranormal event that supposedly occurred here. Still, everyone we talked to seemed totally believable when they told us what they had seen. The question is that enough? Well, guys, we finished our investigation. We did everything we set out to do. What do we think? Is Mothman real?
I'm more likely to believe now than I was when I came in.
It doesn't really surprise me.
My problem is that we spoke to a lot of people that I consider to be very credible, and I can't see that they were lying.
How does that stand as evidence?
It's not evidence at all. We have other people's opinions, and we can form our own. But at the end of the day, they're just opinions.
How many credible, honest people do you need to hear tell you a story before you finally start to believe that it may be true?
The story is still just a story. It's an eyewitness account. But there's really no proof.
Exactly. The only thing you can really do with Mothman, as I see it, is interview witnesses and try to analyze a testimony. You look for flaws, you look for consistency, you look for whatever.
Not really.
What else are you going to do with Mothman?
We're going to put ourselves in a situation where we were most likely to encounter him. And from our diving and our camping, we didn't really come up with anything else.
I think, something scared these people. I don't know what it was, but something did.
They're convinced that they saw something. But now, how do you go from that to Mothman and the question of, is there a Mothman? Was there a creature that's not known to mankind right now?
Here's these people, okay, and they're ordinary people, and they come from small town America, and they have nothing to gain by telling us the Mothman stories, right?
Carolyn and her brother Ed made a point that was pretty convincing to me, and that was that the local economy does depend a great deal on this story.
There's certainly a strong element to that here in this town now. Mothman's a big part of Point Pleasant. A lot of the people we spoke to did not seem to be all that thrilled that they'd seen the Mothman. I mean, unless they're the best liars around, I just don't think so, and I don't think you do either.
I'm not prepared to accept the testimony that we heard as fact or evidence. I'm not.
You'll do anything possible to avoid actually rethinking your reality beliefs here.
The reality is, people can be convincing. Whether you choose to believe a witness does not mean it's truth, does not mean it's fact.
I agree with that.
And in a scientific investigation, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're in pursuit of the truth and the fact.
So am I.
Whatever it was, whatever started it, what I'm seeing here is historical events, disasters, economic trends, all of these things played in with these other things, and I'm at 100% that an awful lot of this is really a cultural phenomenon.
Guys, we could talk about this all night. I think we did a good job here. We got the information, all the information that we could. We did everything that we could, right? We gathered a pretty good case, and I think we learned a lot about it. And we have our opinions, and that's how they stand.
That's how we are.
Next on Sci-Fi, Dark Angel. In the Lost Room, ordinary objects have extraordinary powers. Now you can join them together for a chance to win $5 million. Visit lostroom.com/quest or text message QUEST from your phone to enter the Lost Room bounty hunt. Log on or text now.